to do all the readings, okay. Oh, he's got you on.
Recording in progress.
You muted that this time. Good evening. Time being 6 o'clock. I call the November 21st, 2023 meeting of the Franklin Town Council to order. Please pause for a moment of silence. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Announcements from the chair. All citizens are now welcome to attend public board and committee meetings in person. Meetings are live streamed by Franklin TV and shown on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. In an effort to maximize citizen engagement opportunities, citizens will be able to continue to participate remotely via phone, or you may click the Zoom link that is on the posted agenda and on the town's website. Phone number is 929-205-6099, and the Zoom ID is 819-8357-1907. Then you need to hit the pound sign. Once again, the Zoom ID, 819-8357-1907, pound. Councilors DeLarco and Sheridan are participating remotely. They're on Zoom this evening. Moving on, citizens' comments. Citizens are welcome to express their views for up to 3 minutes on a matter that is not on the agenda. The council will not engage in a dialogue or comment on a matter raised during citizens' comments. The town council will give remarks appropriate consideration and may ask the town administrator to review the matter. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Steve, name and address, please.
Steve Sherlock, 13 Magnolia Drive, citizen reporter for Franklin Matters, Franklin Public Radio. I apologize, I missed last week, had other things going, so I wanted to do two things quickly tonight. One, welcome you back. Congratulations. Thank you to all the voters who did vote, at least bringing council back to office. Second quick reminder, and you've heard it before, you've heard it a few times, you do have a little sticky on the microphone. The microphone is your best friend. You're here devoting your time on our behalf. We would like to hear every word you say. So please use the microphone. It is your best friend, so that Chris in the studio can capture it properly so that anybody participating remotely can hear you as you work on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Is there anyone else in council chambers that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Okay, is there anyone out there in Zoom land that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? I don't see anyone. Amy, you don't either. Okay, moving along. Public hearings. I'll declare the Franklin tax classification hearing, public hearing, open. Jamie, you want to do a lead-in?
We'd be happy to introduce the Chair of the Board of Assessors, Chris Feely, and I think we have the newest member of the board over here as well as our Director of Assessing, Kevin, to give a presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Mr. Feely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations to all of you being reelected.
And our newest member is Cheryl Hanley.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
Welcome.
So tonight, you've all received a package ahead of time of all the information for the tax classification hearing. We're gonna quickly go through some things for people at home, and then we'll take all your questions at the end, if that works. Okay. So this is a quick agenda of what we're gonna do. We're gonna go over the new growth, the levy limit, median single-family valuation and tax, and then classification options, that's single or split tax rate. So I'm not sure how well people at home can see this, but you have this in your packet. This basically goes through and shows you the individual items that make up the new growth. There was $58 million of new growth value, which equates to approximately $1.1 million of new tax. This next one is a calculation on the levy limit. The top part shows how we came up with the levy limit for fiscal year '22 and '23, which brings us the middle is how it gets calculated for this year, fiscal '24. It includes the previous levy. There was an amendment to the new growth, the 2.5% that we're allowed to increase the levy by, the new growth for 2024, and it gives us a total. And then we have the debt exclusions, which means our total levy limit, round numbers, is $94.2 million. This next slide is a history of the median value, which means the middle value of a single-family home in Franklin, the single rate, the amount of tax that would equate to for each given year, and then the last column is the increase year over year. So for 2024, the middle tax bill is going to go up $145. This next slide, it's, if we chose to go with a split rate, it shows the first column on the bottom chart there. If you shift by 0.05%, what it would change the residential rate to, and then the commercial, industrial, personal property rate. So if we go from a single rate to the maximum shift, it would reduce, round numbers, the residential rate by about $1.40, but it would increase the commercial, industrial, personal property rate by over just about $6. So it's about a 4-to-1 to do that. Basically, what that means is 80% of the property in Franklin is residential, and then the 20% is commercial, industrial, and personal property. So, does anyone have any questions?
Any questions on that? Continue.
So that's the end of our presentation, unless you have questions.
Very good.
So there's the points of legislation that you need to go through and approve, and we need signed this evening.
Understood. Okay, questions from the council? Just for the people at home that may or may not be able to see that on the television screen, could you give the tax rate, the new tax rate?
Yes, the new tax rate for this year will be $11.79.
And I know that, I'm sure that there are some people that are at home that are saying $11.79, last year it was over $12. We're going down in the tax rate. I don't think everybody at home understands.
I'll try to give a quick
Thank you.
answer to that. So the town has the ability to raise a certain levy, and it's based on what all the property's value is, fair market value. So if the fair market value goes up a lot, which it did this past year, the levy limit can only go up by 2.5%. So we take all the value of all the property divided by what that levy limit is, and that establishes the tax rate. So in this particular year, the value of the property went up far more than the 2.5%, so the rate goes down. Correspondingly, if people's property values went down, we would still increase the levy, and that would increase the rate.
Right. Bottom line is, we're still getting to 2.5%.
Correct.
Because that's the number that by law we can increase
Correct.
the levy. Questions from the council? Councilor Chandler.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, gentlemen. First, this is my 5th one now, and I did not get any emails or questions, so I'm not going to have any questions for you. But I did want to say that if I did get questions, these 2 pages, page 2 and 3 that you guys provided, answers everything. I would just hand this to a resident, and I think they would get the whole gist of this whole thing, including the main point where it's, please note that a dual tax rate does not produce more tax revenue, it simply shifts the burden. That's what people need to really understand. So I think that would solve any problems if anyone else needs to hand it to any constituent. And just so people know where I'm coming from, the reason I continue to always vote for the single rate is, like you said, it's 81% or 80% residential, 19 and 20% industrial. I want that industrial to go up. I do not want that number to go down, because it would not be good for the town. So that's where I'm coming from. And again, thank you for all your hard work, and welcome.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Chandler. Any other questions or comments from the Councilor Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you have last year's numbers compared to this year's numbers as far as valuation? So you got 7,990,414,495 total. What was last year's?
I don't know that. I shouldn't say that. We know the number, we don't have it with us.
Okay, because that's a significant number, 7.9 million.
Yeah,
I was just wondering
it's-
what last
I
year's.
would say round numbers, that number's up about 10%.
10%. That's
Yeah.
approximately 10%.
Right. So
Valuation growth.
it would have been 7,200,000,000.
Gotcha. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
All set, Councilor Jones?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Councilor Hamblin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through the chair. Thank you all for being here tonight and all your work that you're going to end up having to do a lot of, I guess, too. But thank you for all your work. I think it's the engine that drives the revenue, and that's what you do for us, so thank you. I have a comment along the lines of what Councilor Chandler said. The 3 pages, especially with in your special notes about your examples of how people get confused about their tax bill, their actual bill, and how it changes, was very good. Another really important thing for people to see. And I think one of the things that a lot of people get confused about as well, about the split tax rate, is about that they think about industrial or commercial buildings, and they think, well, people, like the big guys can pay more, right? But we can't, I think it would be nice if you could explain how we can't separate that, like you can't,
Equitably.
we're gonna, you would raise the taxes on like the mom and pop shops and things like that, and
They're all lumped in as the classification of commercial property, whether that commercial property is where FedEx and UPS are, or DeVita's Market, or the barber shop up the street here. So
Right.
it would affect them probably more significantly than it would these bigger companies that you're referring to, absolutely.
Right.
right, and I think what Councilor Chandler said is I agree with that, is like that's, as an economic development thing, that worries me, and that we wouldn't want to do that, because we want to make sure that everybody survives through.
Well, it's all, the other piece that people need to understand is if you go to a split rate, it's a one-time hit. And then you're now burdening those commercial properties with a higher tax bill, which affects their value. And their
Right.
value could go down because of that, and could actually end up hurting you far more than it could help you.
Right, thank you, that's kind of what I meant, but thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Councilor Frongillo.
Yeah, thank you. This is great. On that point, one of the numbers I was looking for, and I was just wondering if we keep track of this, is do we have any sense of our like commercial vacancy rate? How many commercial buildings we have that aren't occupied or struggle to be occupied?
We do develop that number. Yeah. Excuse me. We do develop that number annually. Vacancy and collection loss, typically it's the vacancy aspect. And it's stratified by groups, industrial, office, small retail, larger retail.
Do you know where we could find that number?
Is that a number
video.
you can get us, Kevin?
Schedules?
Yes.
Sorry.
Is that a number you can
Yes.
get us?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
making a note.
Okay.
Yep.
That'd be great, because that's really where my mind goes when I'm thinking about splitting is, well, what do we have and what are we struggling to fill? And it seems as though our residential vacancy rate is at an all-time low, under 4%. And I think commercial vacancy, I know in Boston it was pushing 20%. I don't know, I don't think we're here, but my guess is we're finding a more difficult time retaining and attracting businesses than retaining and attracting residents. And so that's sort of like, if you're gonna 4 times increase the commercial side on something that we're already struggling to maintain, that's really where my reasons that out. The other question I had was on exemptions. So what exemptions do we offer, and what exemptions could we offer that we don't?
So there's correct me if I miss one, there's veterans exemptions, there's widow exemptions, there's senior citizen exemptions. There's a couple of those based on income and assets. So the veterans, there's several on the veterans as well.
Read this, but we don't.
Right. So there isn't, I don't believe there's an exemption that we could offer that we don't.
I have no idea what
Okay,
that is.
the ones I was looking for, was there a small business exemption that we don't offer? Small commercial exemption?
There is a, sorry, go ahead.
Hi, I am a principal assessor in Hopedale. We do have a split tax rate, and I was formerly the assistant assessor in Bellingham. And we had a split tax rate and a small business exemption. We were one of the only communities in the Commonwealth that offered a small business exemption. And really, if you don't have a split tax rate, it's not appropriate, because then you're offering, it's 10% off the value for a commercial property, so you would be reducing the commercial value because they're a small business. But most local governments wouldn't choose to do that if you didn't have a split tax rate where there was more of a burden put on the commercial taxpayer. So if you have a split tax rate, so you're shifting some of the burden over to the commercial tax rate, then
That
you
shifts
would.
within the commercial.
Correct. So then you would offer a small business exemption for your small mom and pops to offset that burden,
Got it.
that shift burden. If I'm making sense, if I'm
I
explaining
think so.
that.
So if we offer the small commercial, then it would have to be made up by both the commercial and residential. Or would it still exist within the commercial?
It's just within the commercial class.
It would still shift,
Correct, yeah.
but it would just be a larger.
But it would be hard to reason why you would offer a 10% discount on the small businesses when there's a single tax rate. It would be a harder exemption to justify, exactly.
Great, and then the other one was
Okay.
residential exemption. This one I think had come up before. So this is the idea of X amount of everyone's residential property would be exempted, and then it would just be shifted sort of upward, so everything beyond whatever the first 10,000.
So how that works is it's the first 100,000 of residential property that's owner occupied.
Okay,
Right,
yeah.
and I misunderstood your question when you asked it first. I thought you were talking about individual exemptions that we offer on residential property, not the global, what other exemptions there might be.
Right, okay, because those are different, right?
Right,
'Cause,
right.
yeah, one would be universal, okay.
Right.
So this is first 100,000 of all residential, so that would come out to some amount per?
So,
Is that,
If you want.
so, let me
Go
finish, please. So how that works is everyone's first 100,000 is exempt, okay? And it's only in residential, single-family, owner-occupied. So then that, after that's done, then there's a new rate that's absorbed only within that class.
yeah,
So it's only in those, it's a monumental task to determine all these properties that are actually owner-occupied. Think of all the condominiums in town, and whether they're being rented or owner-occupied. And there's really, in my opinion, there's not a lot of change in the tax. Because when you do that, the rate is gonna go up within that class for those individuals.
of course, right, yeah.
And to be honest with you, most of the cities or communities that do that are like larger cities, like Boston, Cambridge,
Yeah, I was
Brookline,
just
that
looking at
have
the list.
massive amounts of non-owner occupied properties and apartment complexes or resort communities.
Resort, yeah.
Yeah, Wellfleet, that's that type of scenario.
Okay. That's great, yeah. Well, we only have so many tools, so I just want to be aware of all the tools that we do have and make sure that we're reasoning them out. I appreciate you coming forward. This is great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all three of you for your work on this. I wanted to just comment, I think,
I will, yes.
I think everybody is seeing commercial business occupancy deplete, especially coming out of COVID, with the exception of maybe some restaurants. Like a lot of our storefronts are, either they're empty or they're struggling. So I wouldn't be in favor of putting any additional burden on them because I want to see them stay in Franklin. And I think a lot of these businesses are, they're our neighbors, right? These are people that have established these small businesses that are competing with the big box stores, that are D'Addario Hardware competing with Lowe's. Like, it's very difficult to say, okay, we want to put an additional burden on you when you're already having a tough time. My question for you guys is, I know you said values went up quite a bit. So does that mean that everyone is gonna see a new assessed value on their home, on their tax bill going forward?
Yes.
Okay.
You see a new value every year, whether it's up or down, a little or a lot.
So particularly for the people watching at home, even though the rate is gonna go down, the assessed value is gonna go up, so their taxes are still gonna go up.
So
They just need to understand that.
right, but it's as you can see on that, the middle, not the average, the middle is gonna go up $145 for the year.
Right. If their home is valued at
600.
$613,000.
Right, and if it's valued more, that 145 is gonna be more, and if it's valued less, it's gonna be less.
Yeah, and do you know, like, how do the increments work, just for the purposes of folks at home?
Based off of that number?
Yeah.
The tax rate, the 1179 for every $1,000.
Okay, so for every $1,000 of median value past 613, they can add another $145?
No, they can
No.
add another $11.
Another 11, okay, sorry,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, just for, because a lot of people ask these questions of us, and it's nice to be able to say to them, like, yeah, unfortunately, your tax bill's still going up, even though we were able to get the rate down a little bit, because our property values just continue to go up and up and up, so. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier Ledger. Councilor Pellegri?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You can say it as many times as you want to explain why the tax rate is what it is, but the assessment going up, you're going to pay more. People just don't understand it. And already I've got calls from different people that they want to know, why is my bill going to be going up when the tax rate is down? But I think you explained it tonight. But if you didn't do a good job, all my calls are going to be sent to you.
You have that number?
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Pellegri. Any other questions from councilors? Anyone in council chambers have a question or a comment? Anyone out there in Zoom land have a question or a comment? I don't see either councilor's hands up, so,
Pat's been popping in and out, just so you know.
okay. Okay, seeing no other questions or
Mr. Chairman.
comments, I will declare the public hearing on the Franklin,
He's trying to get your attention.
Could I just add one more thing?
certainly can.
So I just want to be clear, with all this work that's done, is done with Kevin and the people that work in his department.
Absolutely.
That the credit is due
Good,
there.
good, good, good.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, folks, for coming this evening and explaining as best we can, trying to get the information out there. And just so everybody understands, this is a meeting that we're having this evening for the tax classification because we have a deadline that we have to set the tax rate by. And that's why we have tonight's special meeting. Okay, so now I will declare the public hearing on the Franklin tax classification closed. And we will move on to legislation for action. And our first action item is Resolution 23-66, classification residential factor. Clerk will read the resolution.
Need to speak in the microphone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 23-66, tax classification for residential factor, whereas a public hearing on the property tax classification was held and closed on November 21st, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved that the residential factor will be set at 1.
Move resolution 23-66.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion.
All set.
Any discussion from the councilors?
Mr. Chairman, can I just, for clarification for the resolution, can we just clarify for the public what it means to set to 1, just so everyone understands?
Sure.
Just-
What it means is it's not going to be a split rate.
Okay.
All those class.
Just a single tax rate.
Oh, I know what it means. I
Single
just
rate.
want to clarify.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is the vote that actually sets the tax rate as a single tax rate? No?
Bobby? Oh, he had his hand up. But now we put it down.
No, that was by accident, guys. Sorry about that.
We miss you, Bobby.
At least we know you're there.
Yep.
Okay,
Never give you technology.
so
Paying attention?
I see no further discussion, so the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 23-66. A majority roll call vote is required. Clerk will call the roll.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
I think we lost him.
We did?
off of Zoom.
Yeah.
He's joined in 4 or 5 times. And
Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegri.
Yes.
Hamblin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
That's 8, 1 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Moving on, second action item is Resolution 23-67, tax classification, open space exemption. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 23-67, a tax classification for open space exemptions, whereas a public hearing on the property tax classification was held and closed on November 21st, 2023. Now therefore be resolved that there not be an exemption for open space.
Move resolution 23-67.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none in Zoom land, we will, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 23-67. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Sheridan. Not here. Cormier Ledger,
Yes.
Frangillo,
Yes.
Chandler,
Yes.
Hamblin,
Yes.
Pellegrini,
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair,
Yes.
Chair,
Yes.
8, 1 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Resolution 23-68, tax classification, small business exemption. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 23-68, tax classification, small business exemption, whereas a public hearing on the property tax classification was held and closed on November 21st, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved that there not be an exemption for small businesses.
Move Resolution 23-68.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 23-68. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Chandler,
Yes.
Frangillo,
Yes.
Cormier Ledger,
Yes.
Pellegrini,
Yes.
Hamblin,
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair,
Yes.
Chair,
Yes.
8, 1 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Resolution 23-69, tax classification, residential property exemption. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 23-69, tax classification residential property exemptions, whereas a public hearing on the property tax classification was held and closed on November 21st, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved that there not be an exemption for residential properties.
Move Resolution 23-69.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 23-69. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Hamblin,
Yes.
Pellegrini,
Yes.
Chandler,
Yes.
Frangillo,
Yes.
Cormier Ledger,
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair,
Yes.
Chair,
Yes.
that's 8, 1 absent, sir.
Motion carries. And Resolution 23-70, tax classification, senior means tested exemption. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 23-70, tax classifications for senior means tested exemption, whereas a public hearing on the property tax classification was held and closed on November 21st, 2023, and now therefore be it resolved that there not be an exemption for senior means tested.
Move Resolution 23-70.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Councilor Pellegrini.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would you explain that, please, what this one is?
So
The senior means?
it's tied to the circuit breaker from the state.
Okay.
So you'd have to now ask people for tax returns, the circuit breaker credit that they received. And actually, this is another one that can end up hurting them, because if it reduces their taxes, it would reduce their circuit breaker credit as well the following year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. Any further questions? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 23-70. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Cormier Ledger,
Yes.
Chandler,
Yes.
Frangillo,
Yes.
Pellegrini,
Yes.
Hamblin,
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair,
Yes.
Chair,
Yes.
8, 1 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Feely, and
Thank you.
our assessors for another job well done. Again, folks, this was a special meeting to set the tax classification. So having concluded that business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, non-debatable.
Non-debatable.
Clerk will call the roll.
Sheridan, not here. Cormier Ledger,
Yes.
Frangillo,
Yes.
Chandler,
Yes.
Hamblin,
Yes.
Pellegrini,
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair,
Yes.
Chair,
Yes,
8, 1 absent, sir.
motion carried. Thank you, one and all.
Recording stopped.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy Thanksgiving.
everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Got
everyone.
it done under the wire.